Hello and welcome to the Plant Paradigm Podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with guests from all around the world and look for ways to create a clean, green, and sustainable future for us, the planet, and all beings. I'm your host, Tom Simak, a fellow plant eater who strives to optimize every living ecosystem, passionate about looking after this beautiful floating rock we call home and all the lovely creatures that dwell among it. Before we get started in today's conversations, I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. This is the first episode of 2021 and I'm really excited to have another 12 months full of jam-packed, knowledgeful episodes. And actually this is the first of a long run of weekly episodes. I've been uploading fortnightly for months. I can't remember when I started uploading fortnightly. Would have been the mid 2020 range. And now that I've got the hang of things, I guess is the best way to say it, I'm really excited to put forward weekly episodes and really dial up the amazing conversations. To start us off, we'll have Geraldine Starke. Geraldine is the founder of Refarmd, an organization helping dairy farmers in particular change their business models and shift to a system that produces plant-based milks and convert their farmland into an animal sanctuary. At the moment, it is plant-based milks just due to the simplicity, and she'll run through the business model and all the different options that they're, striving to interpret and put into place, and all the exciting things that is to come. We'll be diving into the specifics of Refarmd and all the amazing effects it can have on the community. And we'll also touch a lot on the farmer's perspective in this whole system, especially on farming, sustainability, and community. This conversation took place back in September. And since then, Refarmd has 3 farms now live on their system, 2 in Switzerland and 1 in the UK. At the moment, they'll be focusing on getting these farms to a level that is sustainable and successful for the farmer, and then they'll be adding others. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy this conversation between Geraldine and I will see you on the other side. Hi, Geraldine. Welcome to the podcast. How are you going?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great, thank you. And you?
Oh, very good. You're in Valencia, like we were just talking before. How's the, what month is it? September? You guys are still getting pretty warm at the moment, hey?
Yeah, we're still under 30 degrees Celsius. So it's really nice.
Beautiful. All the animals and humans get to rejoice in the nice warm weather.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, there's so much I want to dive into today. And, we're going to be mentioning the word Refarmd a lot. So to start us off with a foundation, can you just give us a rundown on what Refarmd is?
Yes, of course. So what we're trying to do is to help farmers, mainly dairy farmers, get out of the dairy trade by helping them and providing them with a new business model into producing plant-based milks. And at the same time becoming an animal sanctuary. So we transform their farm into an animal sanctuary and help them get their income from somewhere else than from the animals' exploitations.
That's so cool. Are you guys at the moment one of the early ones that are trying to help farmers make that switch?
No, there are different organizations trying to, since several years now, trying to help them get into plant-based agriculture, for example, or into, changing from poultry barns into mushrooms, things like that. Where we are different is that we are trying to provide a solution that is really quick, also without any investment for the farmers, because solutions right now are taking a lot of time. The farmer needs to adapt his farm, his land, to be able to plant crops for human consumption. So this takes a lot of time, a lot of investments. Then you need also to have the whole logistic around it, finding customers and things like that. So it's quite of a long process. And what I wanted to do is to have a model that is really that works for any farm also, because some farmers, tell us that they don't have arable land, for example, or they live in the mountains, so they cannot start growing crops.
Right.
So it doesn't work for them. So I really wanted to find a model that works for any types of farm, that doesn't require an investment from their part, and that is kind of quick. If they want to have it quick, it can be done quick, so that they really don't hesitate. They hear about it, and we're also working with a 3 month trial period, so they can basically test it all before they even engage into it. So to make it as easy and simple as possible for them, so that we have more and more being able to join and make the switch. So that's, yeah, and also that we are transitioning them to plant-based milk directly to a product, and that we also handling all the things around it. So we're handling the customers buy through our platform. We are selling their milk from our farms through our platform. We are handling the logistics, so the deliveries, the pickup location. We are providing the equipment. We are doing all this so that really the farmer focuses on just producing the milk and caring for his animals and his farm.
That's so cool. How did you even begin to get into that field? Were you like a farmer beforehand, or how did you
No.
even learn about all this world of farming?
So no, initially I'm from the hospitality environment. I learned management and business in hospitality, so I worked in restaurants, hotels, and things like that. But then now I'm vegan for 10 years about now.
Wow.
And since
10
then,
years?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are a
Yeah,
fossil in
and
the vegan movement.
also, especially I was living in France at that time, and still today in France is not great, but 10 years ago nobody even heard of this word, and it
Yeah,
was
people
really
calling
hard.
you
But
full crazy.
yeah, definitely. We had no friends, nothing. No, so no social outings, nothing. And I was looking to do it at the same time with my now husband, so we were doing it together. So that much easier, because alone it probably would not have been able. Maybe vegetarian, but vegan, yeah. So yeah, as you can imagine, working in restaurants or hotels are really animal product based, so it was really hard for me to continue working in those establishments, especially the last one. I was working in a grill house, so it was just
Oh,
about
yeah.
meat. So I started moving away from all that, and I wanted, to work more in the plant-based industry, or in general doing something for the vegan community. So I started vegan online shops. I started in France. I started working on a green event planning company, and a few years ago, with a group of people, we created a vegan village in Portugal. So I was involved in different projects like this. And yeah, 2 years ago, so I always wanted, to have my own sanctuary, I think, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I was never really happy about the fact that you are limited to a certain amount of land, and then saving, animals, you can only save a certain amount of animals. And also that the current model of sanctuary is kind of a bit dangerous, or at least unsecure, because obviously you need to rely on donations, you need to rely on volunteers, you need to find resources for all that, and it's really a struggle. I have a lot of friends who have sanctuaries, some who had needed to close down, and this is, it's just not really a long-term solution, or at least very secure solution. So I wanted to find a new model where sanctuaries could be self-sustainable and not rely on all that, and also scalable, so we can apply that anywhere in the world. And that's why it was about 2 years ago. We always talked a lot with friends or with my husband about this kind of different projects we wanted to do. And I just had this realization that actually farms could be the perfect sanctuaries, because they already have the land, they have the animals there, they have the people who know how to care for them on a daily basis. You would not have to move the animals, because sometimes when sanctuaries save animals, they have, when farmers close or want to give the animals to sanctuary, we have to split the herds, and to try to find places for them, because you cannot just find a place for 60 or 70 animals like this. And you need to allocate more resources to save them. You need to find the land and things like that. And as the animal farming industry is so resources intensive, like it uses so much resources already, that I think it's not great to just use more resources to that. And most importantly, it doesn't have a direct impact on animal exploitation. It's not bringing a stop to this, and we cannot continue saving these animals if they continue to breed them and to bring them every year, by the billions every year. So by transforming a farm, we have a direct impact on that, because it means that this farm will not bring new lives for exploitation on the next years. So it has a direct impact on that, and it also helps because I also believe that farmers are the best advocate for our movement, because a farmer that transitions, and if farmers themselves say, it's not a good thing, it's the best we can have in this movement. So I really believe into that. And as far as your specific question about learning, or I don't have any experience in farming also, but that's what I'm telling as well, is that I'm not giving farmers farming advice. That's not about it. I trust them to know how to farm. I also trust them to know how to care for their animals. What I do is I just provide them with a new business model, and I help them, make this business model work. I help them make the logistic around it, but I don't tell them how to farm or how to do these things. So I don't need to have any farming knowledge. And as we go, we are also growing our teams, and we are also working with more and more experts in different fields. So as we grow, and farmers, for example, want some kind of advice for planting crops or something, we will connect them with experts that know their subject and can help them there. But that's not our role here. So while we are not transformed, I don't know if this was clear, is already clear, but we are not asking them to plant crops or something. We are, at least initially, our farmers are just sourcing the ingredients locally and then transforming them on the farm. So they don't need to start planting. So that's why our transition can be quick, because they just need to buy the ingredients locally. But for those who want, and those who have the land and who are interested, obviously they can start planting if they want. And we have some who already do. And that's even great, because they do then enough for them, so they don't need to buy, but also to sell to our other farmers we are working with. So we have this kind of we are building this closed network where farmers help each other as well. So initially they don't need that. They don't need to plant or anything. They just transform the ingredients into the milk on the farm.
That's insane. A lot of people's minds just got blown by how simple the whole process is. And I want to talk about the farmers for a second, because this is literally, their whole life, or their whole teachings that they got taught on how to raise cattle and all these things, is getting completely transformed. When we're looking at these farmers, are you guys contacting them directly, or are they and trying to offer them business models alternatively, or are they coming to you guys knowing that you can offer a different solution?
Yeah, so no, we are not contacting farmers ourselves, because we believe there's no point in trying to
Convince
motivate
them
someone or to convince them exactly, if they're happy about what they're doing, but there are lots of farmers who are not happy for different reasons, or who made the connections with animals, or who are just struggling financially, or who now understand the environmental impact that the industry has. So these are the people who are contacting, and there are so much of them already that we prefer to work with people who want to be helped, because obviously if they are the ones contacting us, their mindset is already totally different. They're open to what we're saying and open to our help. You cannot go helping someone who doesn't want to be helped. So so that's how we do it. So when we get more and more demands now, it really is. I always thought it would be a problem to get farmers on board, but actually it's not a problem really. We have so many contacting us from around the world, that we can for now not keep up, because we need to launch our first farm and make sure the model works and everything before we continue with them. But so many farmers want to get out of that and find a solution.
So when this transformation starts beginning with their actual farm, like physically, we know this is amazing for the animals because they don't have to get slaughtered, but how does this affect the farmers? Like, what positives or negative side effects do they experience once they turn this into like an oat producing area, or they, farm sanctuary animals? Like what?
So obviously we are still in the experimental phase. So we are launching our first farm. 2 of them were already sanctuaries. That's something that needs to be known. So it's something they made themselves already, because they made the connection to animals a few years ago. So they started slowly transitioning into a sanctuary, but they needed a business model to support that. So that's where we helped them. And for us, it was also perfect to start with the sanctuary. So we didn't need to be working on the more the part, to, like I said, convincing and everything. So we really focus only on the business model. But the third farm we are working with is still the dairy farm today. So we really are transforming this farm. So I cannot really say how it's going to have an effect on them. But what I see with those who already transition, and with them we are transitioning, most of the cases it's a relief. They just feel a huge relief to being able to get out of this, and to have help, obviously, and to not have anymore this kind of, they have this, when they're in the trade, they have this expectation and this valued monetary value they have to put upon these animals, to make it work. We have a lot of farmers who want help, but for now need to continue doing what they do because they need money. That's always what they say. They say, by the end of the month, I still need to pay my bills, so they need to do it. So first of all, it's really a relief for most of them when they can start. They can't wait to make it early enough, but after, for some who have transitioned already for a few years into a sanctuary or something, what we see a lot is really hard on them, especially mentally. Their well-being, because well, as a vegan, you always regret your past, that you haven't done it before. But imagine as a farmer, when you make the connection, when you make the switch, you don't only regret eating meat or drinking milk, you regret being responsible for that, growing these animals, sending them to slaughter, exploiting them, especially in the dairy. So it really is a burden they will probably carry for the rest of their lives. So it's really hard. So that's why we're also trying to create like support groups between farmers and things like that, because it's really hard. And also, especially in their community, in their families, and in the farming community they're around, it's really hard. They can get bullied a lot. They get threats and things like that. So that's why
Threats
a
as
lot
well,
of
did you say?
farmers, yeah,
Oh my
it's really
gosh,
difficult,
is this
especially
other
from their own
farmers?
family.
Oh no.
Yeah, when they want to, it's really difficult, especially for older generation, to just, because if you change, you have to admit that what you were doing was wrong, kind of, and that what your family were doing for years and years is wrong, or at least that it was not good or something. So it really is hard to accept, because you have to, yeah, to change how you view what you do. I mean, if you accept that, you accept that you did wrong, and that's really hard. And it's also, you know if you've grown up in this environment, you just normalize what happens there. That's why they can do it, because from very small on, you learn that it's normal. If you can learn anything is normal if you would teach when you're a kid. So for them, it's just also normal until they start to get connections or realize things. So communication is really important. But yeah, it is really hard, and there are lots of farmers who want to, especially the younger generation that takes over. They want to get out for multiple reasons, but some just wait, that sadly that the older generation dies because they cannot do anything until they're alive, because they get threats, or it's just really difficult. That's why I really wanted to create this as well. Is because as a vegan myself, I'm not just compassionate for animals. I'm also compassionate for human beings, and I think that's something we should not forget as vegans. To have this compassion for all beings. So I could never, rejoice or be happy about hearing, sad stories, or how farmers struggle, because in the end, it's just people that have learned to do the things, and yeah, again, you can all learn anything if you teach when you're small. So they just need help to get out of this. And also, when there are lots of people that say, oh, I would never go vegan or something because I prefer to support my farmer, my local farmer. Lots of people say that we need to support farmers, but actually, if you want to support farmers, the best way to support them is to help them get out of this, because they're not, when you're buying your milk at the supermarket, you're not supporting the farmer, you're supporting the big corporation, the big company in between the farmer and you, that will sell you this. Because farmers don't have a say on the price of the milk they're selling. They get, even sometimes they even sell for less than production costs, so they're just losing money all the time. They're not beneficiary in any way for saying that. It's just a really hard job. They're also getting a lot of backlash and hate from around, and they're not earning anything. So you're not supporting them by buying more milk or more cheese from the supermarket. There's no way you're supporting them by doing that. So that's really important for us, that we also show that we are not just, against farmers or something. We are trying to help them get out of it, and still we're trying to make the change. Obviously, it's always going to be a big change, but for like the more practical things, we're trying to make it as small as a change as possible, in the sense that we are allowing these farmers to keep their farm, keep their animals, continue basically on their daily routine, without obviously several aspects, but and they're still producing a produce here, a milk. So we're going from milk to plant milk. So they're, because farmers are, happy and proud about feeding the nation, feeding people. So we want to give that to them as well, to give back somehow this kind of power to the farmers, in the sense that in our case, farmers are directly connected to customers. There's no middleman, no big corporation in between, no supermarket, nothing. It's sold directly to customers, and most of the income from that goes straight to the farmer, so they can earn much more, and they can also decide on the prices. They can decide on what type of milk they want to do. And Refarmd is not a brand. Farmers are not selling under the brand Refarmd the same product everywhere. Refarmd is more like a label that ensures you that this product that you buy is made from a farm that has transitioned, that has stopped all the exploitation, that it's organic, that it's handmade, that is fresh, that is very low ingredients and transformations, and processes. So that's more like it. But each farm will have has its own identity, and will do their own products. We give them we come with the basic recipes, but then they can improve it, they can add things, they can just come up with new products. And in some cases, some farmers want to do just one type of milk, for example, but others want to try different types of milk. Or we're going to be doing also other types of products like plant-based cheeses or yogurt and things like that. So it really depends. Each farm will have his own thing, and we really want to recreate like when you had before. You could go to your neighborhood or village farm and buy fresh milk or cheese from them, and it was high quality. You knew the farmer. You knew that if you were buying at his farm or another farm, the taste would be different, because it was handmade, the animals were eating differently and things like that. So we want to recreate this kind of thing, to reconnect as well this local community, because we are only producing with local ingredients and only selling locally. So trying to recreate this and still having the farmer really a part of it, so that it's not too big of a change, to just give it all up and become a sanctuary. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
That's such a big perspective shift on. There's a few things that you mentioned that really is the first time I've had to think about it, which is one, the absolute treachery that these farmers would have to go through when they decide to make that transition, if they want to, create a farm sanctuary. Because, you think when you first go vegan, you get all these comments on your Instagram, like, you sick, you suck, but bacon though, and all these like stupid comments. But then you think, like, as a farmer, your community of friends are farmers. And so when you make that change, you're not just getting the snide comments, you're making the people around you really, it's almost like you're saying, like, and they're saying this to themselves, that like you're doing something that's better than them. And it causes these people to reevaluate their life, which would be so difficult for that poor farmer. And I sometimes struggle to have the compassion for the farmer, to be honest. And that's not all farmers, but like only because in a way I've only seen the videos of like the kicking the pig and like all that kind of stuff. Like, would you say that there's farmers that actually don't do that?
Yeah, so we're working with more small, medium scale farmers. So most of the time, the videos you see obviously are in more bigger
like factory
farms,
farming, like
exactly, where they also have workers. It's not the farmers themselves; they have a lot of workers,
right?
And they're working in such conditions, that just they don't. It just there were a lot of. Don't want to go too much into it, but a lot of studies, about what happens in slaughterhouses or in these factory farms, where the fact that workers start even to laugh at hurting animals is a mechanism, a self-protection mechanism of your brain, because you go through so much horror that you cannot. If you want to be able to go through it, you need to normalize it. You need to make it even not matter. You cannot add value to the animals, because if you do, there's no way you can continue doing that. So there's kind of this psychological aspect, what I'm not an expert on, but obviously we cannot just ignore that. And so in our case, we are working with farmers where it's like just the farmers. It's most of the time it's a couple of farmers working with their animals, and they have like between 20 to 100 animals. It really depends on the farm. And we obviously we are not there on the farm every day, every night to see what happens. But for now, most of the farmers that came to us are farmers who made the ethical connection, who made the connection with the animals, and who
Right.
want to stop this. So we really connect with them on this point, or that even started to shift to already vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, and so we really did see a different connection. And I also truly believe that by taking away this monetary value that they have to put upon the animals, that's why it's important for me to not just shift them to plant-based agriculture, for example, and move away the animals, or say, because lots of people say, why don't you just send the last animals to slaughter? It's much easier. You don't have to have costs for 10 years for these animals, and then farmers are free to use the land for making a business. But first of all, we really want to make people understand how each one of these lives is important. If obviously we could go with the simple route, but that's really not what it's about. It really is about the animals. So for us, our model doesn't work if the farm doesn't keep animals. So it has to be a sanctuary. We want the farm to be showing the world how it is to care for animals, and that it is important to care for these animals, especially because we are responsible for bringing these animals onto this world. We cannot just say, okay, now we don't need them anymore. And yeah, so there's this first thing. And then also, I truly believe that it's really important for the farmers to keep animals, because they will continue caring for them on a daily basis, but without having this weight on their shoulder that they need to be more productive, that they need to do that and that. And by doing that, I truly believe that they will create a different relationship to these animals. They will be able to to really connect to them, what they were trying to avoid before, because they cannot allow themselves to connect this way to animals, because if they do, they will not be able to continue sending them to slaughter or exploiting them. So they have to block this. So but now that we are removing all of that, they can allow themselves to have this relationship and this bond with these animals. And we also, farmers that we work with are starting to get more public. So they're having farm tours, they're speaking up in interviews at the TV. So themselves, that they are getting more and more involved in it, and realizing things and talking with more and more people about this different view. We have them meet with other farmers, ex-farmers, and they talk a lot about that. So I truly believe that the farmer will have a different connection over the months and years, and they will get even more passionate and even better activists that as any vegan could be. So there's also this, what I try to hope to achieve, by changing a farmer directly, is to not just make vegan products, but to change that the farmer becomes a vegan himself and his family, and that slowly all the farming industry moves into that, and that not just for business reasons or for health reasons, but for the animals in the end.
Yeah, there's so much amazingness that goes on there, especially connecting those farmers and ex-farmers, because like we were talking about, their circle of influence has to change. Like they can't be this ex-farmer and then have all these like farmers always breathing down their neck. So that's so awesome how I guess it's making that shift as well to creating a new community. And then I was going to say, they've got all these animals on the farm, like just roaming around and doing whatever they want to do. I wonder if it's like, or part of their future and what they can do is take part in like regenerative agriculture, because a lot of the times they're saying these animals have to be on the farm to turn over the soil and poo and eat different grass. And I wonder if then they could not only make this oat milk, but then be able to grow other crops a lot quicker and healthier and better than these other farms that are not even using the cattle the way that they're most efficiently can be used, which is to graze grass. So I wonder if that's a good road as well.
Yeah, definitely. There are lots of things to do. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but what we also are going to be working on a more long-term thing is, I don't know if you know about veganic agriculture.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is important, because if we want to promote the message that we have to get rid of all animal farming, we have to show and to give this message that it is possible to do agriculture without any animal input, because obviously until now in farming there is a lot of animal input, and
Mm.
because if you don't do that, then they will always say, okay, but you still need animals, we still need to breed some animals for for being able to grow veggies or something. So there's this well, it's a movement, I can say, from veganic agriculture that shows you and teaches you how to make agriculture without any animal input, and they get even better results. So obviously in the beginning that's not something we can do because they have the animals and everything, but for example for the farmers who are providing us with the ingredients initially, on the longer term, we really want to have exclusive partnerships with some of these farmers so that they can grow only for us once we have enough farmers. Because when we do that, then we can ask them to grow it exactly like we want. So we will shift them to veganic agriculture, and slowly shifting them all to that, so that we really can show that we don't need any form of animal exploitation to make veggies or crops. So that's also very important. But yeah,
And
for the rest, yeah.
and just like on a basic level, my understanding is veganic agriculture is literally just creating crops and just not exploiting the animals. So not a farm that does not include any slaughtering. Is that correct?
It's more on the so it even is with farmers who don't have any animals, so that grow crops. The problem is when they grow crops currently, they use manure, they use a mixture of bone and blood that are crushed, and that is put on the field, on the soil, to give nutrients and things like that. There are different ways of using animals, either live animals like you said in grazing and things like that, or the byproducts, if you want, from animals. That's what they're doing nowadays. So when you eat your veggies or things, it has been done with using any type of animal byproducts. So it is more than just not exploiting the animals on the farm. Is really not using any animal input in your soil in how you grow your crops.
Right. Okay. Well, that kind of just says that any vegan's pretty much not vegan, basically, in a way. So veganic would be nice. Yeah. And it'd be so hard to know, like in this day and age, like, 2020, there's no way to really know which farm is veganic. And I don't even know how well known that even is. Like, do farmers, an everyday, like, does it everyday Joe farmer know what a veganic farm is? Do they know if it's possible? That's such a big cultural shift that would
No,
have to
yeah.
happen. Yeah.
No, it really is new. Most of people, and even vegan, never heard about it. And they have a map now you can find, where you can find the veganic farmers, but it's still in the very beginning.
Oh, that'd be so cool
Yeah.
to develop then eventually.
Yeah.
When you were talking about it before, and when I was looking up online on this oat milk bottles and how you order it from this farm or from a pickup zone and you get this delivered and then you return the bottle, it really reminded me of like that old like 1980s and earlier, like where the milkman drops off the
Yeah.
milk in it. Is that what you guys are kind of going for,
Yeah.
that kind of community feel?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's also what I said before. When before you were going to your local farm to get your fresh cheese or something. It's a bit this kind of, yeah. And obviously the milkman. Yeah, that's something we really want. To, because we are only going to be selling locally, and because as you said before, the farmer needs a different, um, well, network around him,
Mm.
community around him. We really want to recreate this local community, and that the farmer feels there's support and interest for that, and that they see that there's really demand for that. And once the farmer shifts, they get so much support and love from this community, that is really great, because they really need that, because from the other side it's not what they're getting. So to be able to convince them to continue doing, and it is the right thing to do. It's really important. And yes, the other aspect we really are passionate about is, the sustainability of the things, to be, so that it's local. That is, yeah, as you said, in reusable glass bottles. We also are really trying to do a fresh product, so it's not something you can sell on the supermarket, because it only lasts 10 days, the milk. So it's really fresh.
Mm.
Therefore it's very not very processed. There's really simple steps. It's handmade by the farmers. We're not transforming them into a factory, a huge factory or something. It's still going to be small scale. It's going to be with only local organic ingredients. There is not going to be added sugars, added oils, additives, any other of the thing. We really try to keep it as healthy and simple as possible to, because that's also something else we are passionate about, is that to show the world that plant-based doesn't necessarily mean lab-grown. We have a lot
Yeah.
of this right now, where we have more and more lab-grown fake meat and things like that. I think it's important to have, because we need to reach a lot of people, and it helps grow the movement much faster. But we also need the opposite, where we also, because a lot of people sadly say, yeah, but veganism is not natural. Plant-based food are not natural. You need to eat this fake stuff. But no, you can have really high quality fresh products that are plant-based, and that's something we really want to have, where you can have these fresh cheeses and yogurts and milks, like you could have before from your dairy farm, basically.
Yeah, and when you're looking at this picture, a lot of people, and myself included, actually envisioned like a town, which, I mean, it sucks a little bit, but I wonder what you think of like those that lives in like cities, like metropolitan, like the big buildings. Like how can these people get a oat milk delivery? Like, is that possible on like a huge
Yes.
scale?
Yeah, so we are trying to limit the radius of deliveries at about 150 kilometers around the farm. So any bigger city around could be delivered, but for now, what we do is we only work with pickup locations. So basically, you can have a pickup in your city, and you just go there and collect it. It's subscription based, so people will get a weekly delivery of this oat milk. So they just go to the pickups we're working with are vegan shops or restaurants in your town. We try to have a few in each town, so that you have something that is close enough to you. We're obviously starting, so we are not covering so many cities and things like that.
Yeah.
Especially because we are handling the logistics ourselves. It's like with everything, like we are making something really kind of new on lots of different aspects. So it is really challenging in different points. And for example, with the logistic, we never could find a current logistics system or delivery system that work for us, especially because we need the driver to come back and drop the empty bottles. And most of the companies don't do that, or they don't make such a big radius, 100, 150 kilometers. So as we could not find something that fits for what we need, we started creating our own delivery system. So that's what we're doing now. But to really test it and make it work, we need to start small. So we reduced a bit the radius. We only do a few cities around the farm, bigger cities. You can also go and collect it at the farm if you're near the farm, but most people are not. So yeah, we're just working with different pickup location in bigger cities, and then you can just go there on a weekly basis to collect your milk.
That's awesome. And I did forget to say this before, but why oat milk of all the things and products that you could have chosen? Why go with that one?
So what's important is the farmer's location. So with each farm we're going to work with, as we're only going to be working with local ingredients, we adapt ourselves to the farm. So when we get a farm that contacts us, we make initially some market research and also some research on what grows in the region, what would best be suited to do plant milk. So because our first farmers are in the UK and in Switzerland, obviously a locally grown ingredient is oats. Not just oats, but there is oats, and oats is really something that people like more and more. So the demand we got from people, because we had this form on the website since now a year, I think, where people could just show their interest, that they would be interested if something like this exists near them, where they could tell us what kind of milk they like, what kind of delivery they want, how frequent, how many liters, and things like that. It really helped us shape a bit the model. And so obviously a lot of people that were living in this region wanted oat milk, because there's this controversy with soy milk. Oat milk seems to be the most sustainable. Nut milks a lot of people cannot drink. So yeah, it just seemed like oat milk was great, and it was easier to get locally. So we just started with this for these farms. But as soon as we're going to be working with a farm that is not in this region, we're going to be working on other types of. Yeah, we just needed to start with something, and that seemed to be working well. But we didn't know that initially, because we are no experts. We have now a bigger team, but we're all no expert, but that's also on purpose. It's because we really want people that can think outside of the box, because we're doing something totally outside of the box. Because when I tried to work with more expert, it was like, no, this is not possible. You have to do like
Yeah.
this or that is, with these machines, or you need to add oil or sugar and things like that. And I said, no, I want really to try to get rid of that. So we need to get people who are able to, who are just passionate about this, and who have problem solving skills, and that's it basically. So when we jumped into deciding on oat milk because of all that, well, now with some if I think back, maybe it was not the best solution, because oat milk is one of the most difficult milk to make, because it has a lot of starches. So if you just do it at home, you will see it just gets really starchy, especially if you heat it up afterwards to use in something. So you need to use enzymes. That's what big companies do in the supermarket. They use enzymes to break down the starches into simple sugars. So we needed to find a solution to do that, but without buying enzymes from labs, and to make it more with natural enzymes. So that's how we needed to work it out. But it was one of the most difficult milk to make.
I'm so surprised to hear that it was difficult, since I've heard how easy it is. I thought it was just oats and water in like a blender.
That's why we jumped on this. But it's so easy to do. It's okay. We're just gonna be putting water with oats. But no, if you want to do it, some do it at home like this and they're happy without it. But when you do at home, you don't have the same expectation as when you buy in a shop. And if you want to use it in your coffee, and you want something that lasts 10 days, and you want something that doesn't separate too much and that tastes good, you cannot just do it like this. So because we're not working with oat, how you call it, oat flakes. No, there's another term. We're working with
rolled oats. Rolled oats.
Yeah, exactly. We're not. Yeah, we're not working with that. We're working with the initial, the
whole,
the raw material, so the whole grain. So there are a lot of more processes there.
Well, in a way, it's kind of lucky you guys went to oat milk, because at the moment it looks like it's booming. Like all I'm seeing on Twitter and Instagram and freaking TikTok is bloody oat milk and Oatly, and this is the best thing you need in your coffee every single day. So you really chose something that seems to be taking off. So Geraldine, the
definitely.
fortune teller.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, definitely. Well, when we started, it was already, well, not as much as now, but it was already getting. A lot of people were like oat milk, because there were lots of reports saying, how also sustainable it is and how tasty it is, and lots of non-vegans loved oat milk as well. So yeah.
Well, I won't make you tell us your secrets on how to make the best oat milk, but on the tail end, I will ask if you have any wisdom or information that we maybe haven't touched on that you'd love to leave us with.
You mean in general?
In general, anything you want. Could be your favorite TV show.
Well, recently my head is just all in this project, so I don't even have time to think about something else.
Good.
But no, not really. Like I think we covered a lot. Also, like I mentioned, with, for example, the logistic part of things, where we're now working to create our own delivery system. It's the same for equipment. For example, we struggle a lot for equipment, to find correct equipment, because there is no equipment existing for plant-based milk. So most of the companies, they use equipment that it was meant for something else and then use it, but because of that, obviously it's not perfect, especially at the scale we want to do, because you either find small scale equipment for household use, or you find these huge ones for industry. So to find something in between that a farmer can make work in his 15 square meter room is not the same. So we really struggle for that, and because we struggle for that, now we are working with engineers and companies to build our own machines. So we're really creating a whole new network around everything, creating everything around us to make it work, because it was not working like this. So when I initially digged in and started working on that, I didn't realize it's going to be going so far. And we had a lot of vision. We have a lot of vision of how we want to go further on. There's so much to do and to think about. But it's really interesting, challenging for sure. And as I mentioned, we are launching our 3 farms. So the 2 first one, we are launching them now, beginning of October. So as you know, we have 3 weeks left or something. So we're really in the middle of it.
When this is out, it'll already be past October. So you can go straight to Refarmd to check it out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we already, for these two farms, people are already able to subscribe. So if you're in the UK or in Switzerland, definitely check out. We have it's not an app, it's a web app, so it's just a website basically, where you can go and then you see where the farmers are. You can select the farm, then you select your pickup location, then you can select your plan because it's a subscription. So you can already pre-order basically, and then we start deliveries at the beginning of October. And the third farm is going to be starting in November. And after that, we're working with other farms behind. So we have farmers contacting us from around the world. We have in Germany and Italy and USA, in France, Austria, in Colombia.
Bloody hell, just
Yeah.
all of them, all the countries.
Yeah. We want to be global, so we really have this want to be global, but obviously we're starting smaller, and then we're going to be growing, as it works.
Well, if there's any entrepreneurs out there listening, you heard what JLD needs: a machine that creates oats for farmers. You could be one of the richest oat machine providers in the world.
Yeah, we definitely need a lot of brains to help us figure all the things out with the logistic, the pickups, the how we can make it work, because I have no idea how other companies can make deliveries for free because it's so expensive. Oh, well, I know how they do it. They put it in the price, but we still want to be, kind of not having huge differences in price because we wanted to reach more and more people. As we go, we'll be able to reduce the prices because we're going to be working exclusively with partners. So we're going to be able to reduce prices. But as of now, we're not able to do that. But yeah, we need a lot of people. We just we just doubled the team the last 2 weeks because we just could not make it work. We're so much to do and so little team, and I have to say I have an amazing team, that I would never be able to do anything of that without them, so it's amazing.
Well, on the tail end of that, can you just give us where we can find you guys? So you mentioned the website, so where we can find you, and also if we're in a position to, how can anyone help you guys?
So to find us, we have we have the main website, the website that is more like a landing page where we explain what Refarmd is and everything. So it's just refarmd.com. But what we are more now using is the app, or the web app. So it's just app.refarmd.com, and there you also have like the infos about what Refarmd is, or the details about our farmers. But if you want really to read the whole story, see all the pictures, then it will redirect you to the website. But from then on, you can see where the farmers are and the pickups, and if you are eligible to get milk, and then see the different plans we have and everything. So there you have infos. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook is just Refarmd, and Instagram is Refarmd Official, and that's where you will get the most info. And then the best way to support us obviously is, if you are in the UK or in Switzerland, is really to subscribe, because all this model is great, but if we don't have the customers in the end, it will just not work. And we are really in the beginning and the experimental phase, so we really need these 3 farmers to work to be able to continue working with all those that contacted us. So we really need to make it work, to show that it is possible. We have so many farmers just waiting to see how it goes with these first farms before they engage with us, because they want to see it work. So we really need help there to get more people subscribing. That's the biggest hurdle we have, actually, because we are selling only locally. So obviously we reach a lot of people, which we found, but obviously most of them cannot subscribe to the milk because you have to be local. So we now are focusing our efforts more on local marketing, being able to reach more local people. So definitely, if you are local, by subscribing, you're helping this farmer transition, you're helping the animals in the sanctuary, because it's a sanctuary, but they're not going to be getting any kind of donations, we're not, the model Refarmd is without all that. We want them to be able to be sustainable without just producing the milks or other types of products. So basically, when you're paying for your milk, you're paying obviously for the milk, for the farmer's work, but also for the sanctuary. And each farmer, by working with us, there is a percentage we take from their income that is used to buy equipment for the next farm. So each farmer is helping another farm to transition. So it really is a network like this, and we really need help for that. And the first help we can get is people subscribing. So obviously, if you're not in this area, the best thing to help us is to share about it, to get the word out, especially if you have friends or families in these regions where they can subscribe. So yeah, for now, the best for us is to really help us share about it, subscribe if you can. Yeah, and if you have any knowledge, if you think you can be interesting for us in machinery and fresh plant-based production, logistics wise, all the things, then definitely you can reach out to us.
Perfect. Well, and you can also share this episode if you want if you know someone who is potentially in one of those areas and they want to know more about it. This has been really information packed. So if they want to know how they can help out, or if you know anyone that could definitely benefit from what you guys are offering, that's amazing. Thank you, Geraldine, for coming on and having a chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. And you guys are doing amazing things. Literally the first I'd ever heard of this. And I'm literally having my fingers crossed, supporting you 100% of the way, because I want to see that come to Australia so I can get my oat milk delivered to my door, or whatever that crop may be. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal model, especially, you know, more than the supporting the farmers, it's becoming connected to the farmer, connected to the food, and connected to the community. Like that is where it is at. That would be the most amazing experience, to really vote with your dollar in a way that affects someone long term, not just you know, $2 for a bottle of milk or $1 for an apple. It's like someone's longevity, which is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on here and spreading a bit more about what we do.
Not a problem. Thanks, Geraldine.
Thank you so much.
Hi there. Welcome to the end of the episode. Thank you once again for listening the whole way through, and thank you, Geraldine, for coming on and sharing this amazing conversation. All the links that you can go to connect with Geraldine and support Refarmd will be in the show notes below. If you want to support them, the best way to do that is go to app.refarmd.com and subscribe to the farmers. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the show is to share on social media, share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and keep this conversation going. Don't let it stop here within the hour. Keep that going, and let's keep raising awareness on how we can create a sustainable system for everyone. Thank you once again for joining this conversation, and that'll be all from me for now. Much love. Eat plants. Peace.